Something is awakening inside of Black women, a quiet but undeniable knowing that we're meant for more than survival, more than sacrifice, more than endurance, more than carrying everyone else's expectations while putting our own dreams on hold. A realization that the life we've been taught to accept may not be the life we're meant to live, and that there may be more freedom, more peace, more joy, and more possibility available to us than we've ever imagined. Because once you realize you have options, everything changes. Close your eyes and imagine living a life you love, unapologetic and unbothered, free from daily microaggressions from Karens and Kens, free from the fear of police brutality and systemic racism. Wouldn't that feel amazing? Now open your eyes. What if I told you that it's possible? Hear inspiring stories and get the actual blueprints from brothers and sisters of the diaspora who are living out their wildest dreams abroad. You've heard the term, now be inspired by the movement. I'm Krishan Wright, and this is Blaxit Global. The celebration of Season 7 of the Blaxit Global podcast continues with celebrating 5 years of Blaxit Global. In this episode, I decided to do something special. We're going to run it back a little bit and talk about my move to Portugal with two people that helped this whole thing come to fruition. I am excited to welcome Zach and Anna from Start Abroad to the podcast. Welcome, Zach and Anna.
Hello, hello.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much.
It's a nice little catch up.
Absolutely.
I want to hear all about everything and how it's been going for you since we were working together.
Oh my gosh. Better than I expected, I have to say, is the answer. But woo, baby. When I was in the trenches trying to juggle all the things, you guys were my lifeline. I love having this opportunity for us to have this conversation now that I'm on the other side and just see how much has changed actually for all of us in the time since we worked together.
Not that much time has passed, but man, have a lot of things happened.
Yes, indeed, indeed. For people who don't know Start Abroad, tell us a little bit about that and we'll go into your origin story. I think it's always good to hear.
Yeah, we'd love to. We are the co-founders of Start Abroad. We're a full-service international relocation company. We help people move and settle into several countries, actually, including Portugal. But it's Costa Rica, Panama, Portugal, and we're opening up in Spain toward the end of this year, which we're very excited about. The idea behind our company is that moving has a lot of moving pieces. Relocating internationally has even more. So we are here to try to take care of a comprehensive suite of services that you're going to need when you make a big international move.
You know, when you think about moving abroad, it's often very overwhelming. It feels like there's a million things that you have to do and you're worried about getting something wrong. And our whole goal is to take as much of that uncertainty and stress off of your plate so you can be excited about getting to move. In terms of our origin story, we actually met living in Kenya.
Yeah.
Anna was a big boss and I was a lowly associate. She did one of my interviews and then everything that proceeded was very inappropriate.
Oh, that's so not true.
But we've been living abroad for a long time. We've made each 6 international moves to different countries. Anna was this HR professional, so she's been relocating people abroad forever.
To, 20 plus countries, I think.
Yeah. And when COVID hit, we were in the States and we knew we wanted to not be in the States anymore. We were considering where we wanted to move next. We had always moved with companies. When you move with companies, typically they're helping you out with the logistics, like visas and things.
Finding you a place to live, making sure all of the tax ID numbers, the bank accounts, everything's sorted for you.
And Anna was in charge of all that for other people. And when we were moving for our most recent move, no one was helping us out. We were doing it on our own. And we were like, man, we wish somebody could just make a lot of this go away and hold our hand and make sure we're doing everything correctly. And we thought we could help people. And so we decided to launched Start Abroad. That was over 3 years ago now.
When you're moving with a company like we were used to, you have a certain level of service. You don't get that when you're a digital nomad or a retiree or, an early retiree.
Yeah.
You have to figure out all these things on your own. So we wanted to provide that level of service that we were looking for.
And that's key. And it's actually a great example. And I talk about this a lot on this platform, how you can leverage your skills and expertise to your benefit abroad. So many times when people come to even the idea of moving abroad, they're like, oh, it's thinking so much about, well, I have to find a job and how is the job force, the workforce in country X. And they're not thinking about those skills that they've acquired over their lifetime that are transferable, that you can use and come to an idea and give birth to an idea that allows you to live abroad, but also to support your lifestyle.
I mean, look at I think you're a great example of that, right? As you've launched Blaxit Global and it's been a big success, and those were skills you've developed previously. And now you're helping a lot of people by sharing your knowledge and experience.
And also an inspiration, I think, especially on the marketing side, Krishan, because I know that's your expertise. You're doing with all of that.
Yeah, we're always very impressed.
Thank you. Yeah. And that was, the idea was I had this love and this desire my whole life to move abroad. And it's so funny when you think about it, like that was before I even hit puberty. I just knew. I used to journal about it. Like there was something inside of me that knew that I wanted to live somewhere else. It wasn't about taxes. It wasn't about cost of living. It wasn't even so much about quality of life in the way we think of it now as adults. It was just this longing and this yearning. Obviously, after, lifing and adulting, you start to realize more of the big macro as well as the micro issues. And ultimately just reinforce that this is what I had to do and wanted to do. I think in the early years before I created Blaxit Global, I was in the mindset of, oh, wow, I need to find and work for a global corporation and who will have, different offices, and this will allow me to do this. And then by the time COVID hit, I was conversing with people who were nomads all over the place. It was like, oh my gosh, like that's when the light bulb went off. And I said, I have to think and expand the aperture of what I think is possible for my life. I'm so thrilled that, you guys landed on that as well.
I think it's just really interesting what you mentioned about that origin, that initial inclination or urge or interest. I think that that's what everyone has inside them when it comes to making this move abroad that's going to be successful, is some excitement, enthusiasm about it. We want you to be able to stay with, right? You want to keep that, hold on to that, and not let the details of the logistics and kind of the more burdensome things get in the way.
We talk about this all the time is, especially in the US right now, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of people who just say, I need to get out right now. One, we want to be able to facilitate that for you if that's your situation. But in order for a move to feel good long-term, you can't just be leaving something, you have to be going to something. Mm-hmm. And so making sure that you have reasons to be going to Portugal or Costa Rica that excite you, because the grass isn't always greener, right? So you're going to go to Portugal, for instance, in Lisbon, and it's going to be hard. Relocating to a new country is difficult. And there are going to be hard days where you're questioning, why did I do this? And so you need to have anchor reasons that you're there to help you get through those rough moments, to arrive at a place where it sounds like now you are Krishan, where you love your life, but not every day was like that in that journey.
Yeah. We talk about them as, push factors and pull factors. It's totally normal to have both, right? But you just want to be sure that there's something that's pulling you to that place too.
And then, when you've decided, okay, it's time to go to Portugal, there's a lot of really good information online. There's a lot of bad information online. There's honest actors, there's not honest actors. And so we want to make sure that we're helping people achieve their goals and making sure they do it right the first time. And that's the reason that we started the business.
And that's important. One of the things I talk about a lot is about, what you said, Zach, was really understanding your why. When I think about my journey, it started off as a child longing to live abroad in New Zealand, and then finally going in 2017 for a scouting trip, going again in 2020, right before everything exploded with the pandemic. But then ultimately finding that out that I was too young for a retirement visa, too old for a work visa. Then I was like, oh my gosh, somewhere in between there was Canada, I think when I had my son and had that idea, but then I didn't have enough money when I decided to rethink it and put 2023 as like, okay, my youngest will be going off to college, 2023, this is going to be game time. I did a scouting trip to Costa Rica. And I'm glad that I did it, because had I not done it, I wouldn't have realized that for me personally, it wasn't a good fit. Portugal was not on the horizon at that point. It was like kind of in the consideration set, but then I was like, okay, you know what? Let me check out Portugal and see what it feels like. To me, being here and living here doesn't feel like Portugal was like the next best thing because I couldn't go to New Zealand. It feels like it was the right thing for me. And it was okay that I took these other journeys along the way because each of those scouting trips and lessons were invaluable to this stage of my life.
It's so important to take as many scouting trips as you are able to, given your financial and kind of professional situation. I believe in personal and cultural fit. So there's some places you go and it just doesn't feel like home. And there's other places you'll go and you say, this feels like home. And the only way to get to know that is to go and to spend time in a place. And that's country, but that's also part like where in the country. So, even if Lisbon didn't turn out to be a cultural fit for you when you went, Porto is very different or Coimbra is very different. And so taking trips to different countries and spending time in different parts of the country is one of the best pieces of advice we can give people when they're at the beginning of their journey to move abroad.
Mm-hmm. Also, it goes back to what you said at the start, having a good, trusted partner, because you said that there are also bad actors, anywhere and including in this space, and as well as the good actors, right? I feel like we're on the good guy's side. When I think back to that time, and that this part isn't something that I've talked about on this show, is there was a lot going on in my life at that time. And I think when you're in it, you're just trying to tread water, like keep your head above water because there's so much to do and it can be overwhelming. It's just a natural emotion because you're doing something that you've never done. You don't have enough information to know what it really is going to be like once you get to the other side. So you're just getting hit with all of the emotions all at once. I was juggling, my daughter's senior year of high school and not letting my impending move overshadow a very important life event for her. I was still in my career, my corporate career, and that was full time, even though I was working from home. I had the podcast that was still in production. And then I also had our Blaxit Global passport cohort. And we wound up having 2 accountability groups, which we normally just have one. But so many people were moving to Portugal that year. People were moving to other places like Vietnam and Costa Rica, Mexico. So we were like, okay, there's a good 8 or 9 of us that were moving to Portugal at that time, which ultimately wound up being, 12 altogether. But it was like just really trying to manage and keep all the balls in the air. And then the biggest one being my own move, right? Having to get rid of the things that were in my house, get rid of my apartment, get rid of the car. So I had a lot of balls in the air and trying to juggle all of that and execute it well, right? Mm-hmm. Ultimately, the goal is to get to the other side. I'm glad we found each other because I wasn't like kidding when I said you are my lifeline, because when you think about all of those big things that were going on behind the scenes, people are hearing my conversations on the podcast, but that's like one sliver and snippet of time, not the big mammoth, all of the things that I was trying to manage. And that's when I realized, I was like, you know what? The true measure of strength is allowing yourself to be vulnerable enough to ask for help when you need it. And that's why I was so glad and grateful that we found each other.
Oh, we're very grateful too. It's ended up being a really wonderful, partnership that's gone beyond when we were just working together. And so that's been lovely. I'm actually going to add one more thing, Krishan, that you were going through at the time, which is that not only was there all of this before your move, but then you're moving to a new country and having to figure out what is life like in Portugal. I'm settling into a new culture, a new language.
Yes, that's right.
It's a big deal. People like undervalue how stressful that can be and how what a big that is.
It's so much. Yeah. And so I think oftentimes we think so much on the front end of like, okay, prepare.
Logistics, yeah.
Get there. Oh, like now what? And then there's the second stage of adjustment. All of that is to say, like, it's a lot. And I think that people who have made that move successfully deserve to like take a deep sigh at a certain point and be like, oh yeah, I did that. Like,
I'm like, can't nobody tell me anything. Like, I can do everything. Right? Exactly. It's like, no, I may not want to do something that's different, but it's like, can I? Of course. And you're right. Like, I didn't even think about that and the fact that I moved with a dog, right? Too.
and that. Yeah, so many things. So I guess all of that is to say, it makes a lot of sense when you just want someone to help you stay organized, stay on top of things, not miss anything, just have confidence you're following the right steps.
Yeah, making sure you do it right the first time. And it saves you time, right? So you don't have to spend 50 hours on Americans and Friends PT. What's the answer? Because everyone has different information. Yeah. I just wanted to add to what you guys said, which was, there's a lot of people that say, hey, I really need to move abroad for these reasons. And often they're really important reasons, but they feel like they can't, or moving abroad is not for them. And what I just want to point out is, like, Krishan, maybe in your journey, you had doubts. I know a lot of other people have doubts that they can't. But just to say, like, it is possible. There's certain steps we need to take to make sure you can do it and it goes smoothly. But for a lot of people, it is an option. And companies like ours and communities like yours are here to support you and help you understand how to do that.
I think the me earlier in my life probably couldn't see myself living in a non-English speaking country.
Yeah.
And because when I think about my early travels, it was always to an English speaking country because I was traveling oftentimes solo. I didn't want to have to, burden myself at that time with trying to navigate a country and the language. But then by the time I had become more seasoned with a couple countries under my belt, I kept stretching myself each time and going to another country, learning a few phrases, greetings and things like that to ease myself into it. So by the time I had explored Costa Rica and Portugal, it wasn't the language that became the barrier. It was just like, oh, well, I can learn this, or I can pull on Spanish that I learned in elementary school and in high school. The language became less of a factor because I had more experience as a traveler and curiosity about history and culture and people. And at the end of the day, people are people. And that was the beauty of being on this journey in this season of my life.
I think in all the countries where we work, at least, you show up with a little bit of goodwill and an attempt, no matter how weak the attempt may be, you're typically going to be received with a lot of goodwill on the other side. And a lot of people speak enough English to help you along the way anyway. It's often more about being willing to make a little bit of a fool of yourself.
Oh, yeah.
If you're moving abroad, have a sense of humor about yourself. Because you're gonna look foolish sometimes, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel like I made a mistake the other day, and I just laughed. And I was explaining to a friend when we were in Portuguese language class together, and he said, "Oh, something's not clicking." And then another friend was like, "Oh yeah, I just don't understand. Why I can't get it." I'm like, we've been in this class, and it's an intensive, so we do 10 hours a week. And I said, we've been at this for 2 months, right? Like, put the pressure down. We're probably at the stage of like a baby. And, when a baby would say like, instead of he took my toy, him took my toy. Like, we're going to mix different things. We're going to get pronouns wrong, verbs, conjugation, the whole bit, right? And everything I say is always in present tense because I haven't learned past tense yet.
But people understand you. Like, it's fine,
Yes.
I'll tell a quick story just to give an example of we all make fools of ourselves. I lived in the Dominican Republic for a while. After college, I was in the Peace Corps there. And the first thing you do is you stay with a host family while you're acclimating. And Dominicans take their dominoes extremely seriously.
Oh, wow.
And so like the young men of the family were like teaching me how to play dominoes. I was getting my butt whipped. And they all talk trash. And so I finally won a hand. And I was like, estás embarazada, trying to communicate, are you embarrassed to have lost to the American? And they were like, what are you talking about? And it turns out that embarazada is pregnant. Yeah. And so I was just like yelling at them, are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? And, that's just one of many stories.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
So,
but now you learned, right?
Exactly, right.
And you're never going to forget that.
Exactly. Even when you mess up, you're like, now I have a new story to tell. Right? That's actually a good segue because you guys have had big life things happen. So let's talk about that.
Yes. We had a baby almost a year ago now. She's almost 1 year old.
Which is crazy to think about.
Time goes so fast. It's wild. But yes, we had a baby actually in Costa Rica last year, at the end of last year. And we've also bought a house. We've settled in and are loving our lives right now. In addition to, being pretty busy with the business and working all the time. I
think it's instructive. So a lot of your listeners may be retirees or pre-retirees or even young families considering moving abroad. A big reason we've chosen to move abroad, we've chosen to live abroad for a lot of reasons, but lower cost of living, decent access to like high quality medical, she was going to give birth. We wanted to start a family in a culture that felt a little healthier and more well balanced in the US. And we wanted to buy a home. And basically none of those things were going to be possible in the US. And it's been a busy year though.
It's been a beautiful year.
Yeah.
Congrats all the way around. And so what was it like having and giving birth abroad versus, or did you even entertain the idea of going stateside to give birth?
It came up.
Yeah, I think it depends on the country that you're in and also your level of comfort. For me, I felt really confident in the Costa Rican healthcare system. We ended up using a private hospital instead of a public hospital. That was great. I had the most wonderful OBGYN, a great pediatrician, nice facilities. And honestly, I can say that the whole process went just about as well as it could have.
But let's be honest. A big factor was when you have a child in Costa Rica, the child is a dual citizen automatically.
Yes.
And you become permanent residents automatically. And so we had a little bit of an anchor baby.
Oh my gosh, you are blowing my mind right now.
This was like part of our plan from the beginning.
So great things. So our daughter is a dual citizen.
And we're permanent residents. Which would have taken 3 years and kind of difficult to qualify for. So
We'll be right back.
Building a life overseas is about more than just choosing a country. It's about choosing yourself. That's why I created our newest guide, 7 Questions Every Black Woman Should Ask Herself Before Building a Life Overseas. Get your free copy through the link in this episode or visit blaxitglobal.com. Whoa! I mean, talk about bonus.
Yep.
Wow. Even more congrats.
Thanks. We talked to some immigration attorneys when we first arrived, and we were trying to understand our options. And then we were like, we'll probably have a child in the next year or two. And they were like, oh, well, then just wait. And we did.
Yeah, it was the smart choice for us. So yes, if you're curious and interested in moving to Costa Rica and maybe going to have a child in the next couple of years,
talk to us.
That might be an option.
Yeah.
I love that. Wow.
Yeah.
What is it that you think you would want to tell someone who's listening that we haven't already discussed? What would you think that they really would need to know about either you or this process?
No 2 moves abroad are the same. So there's no boilerplate move. I think it's important for every category of your move. So your visa options, relocation, rentals, for every, there's maybe 10 major components of a move, shipping, tax. So what you want to do is understand the options for each of those categories and then choose the one that's right for you. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be different configurations of those options are going to be right for different people. And spending the time to understand your options, it will save you money and it's going to make the process go smoother to do that. So for instance, we were working with clients that were moving a pet and they were just like, well, we're going to just do this route. And it was going to be like $5,000 and not pleasant. And so we were like, well, have you guys already investigated these other two options? And we ultimately were able to find them a much more economical option. And so stepping back, working with somebody like us or another company, using different tools to figure out all your options and choosing what's right for you, I think is important.
Yeah. I will say to Zach's point, that is what we specialize in, is getting to know people, actually getting to know you as a person. And hopefully you get to know us a little bit too. And then helping you think through your options and what's going to be the right decision for you. Regardless of whether you work with us or go your own way, just take your time. Don't be too stressed out by it. If you can just keep your end goal in mind of what your life is going to be like in this new place, and you just work step by step, as with everything else in life, right? It's just a real big project, and you can just work your way towards it.
I would have just two quick additional things. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
It's extremely stressful. Apparently, moving is one of the most stressful things that humans can do. And moving to a new country is like 5 times more stressful. So just be kind to yourself. You're going to have some bad days, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. And then don't believe everything you read online or hear online.
Yes.
So if you go on these Facebook groups, they can be tremendous sources of information. But you're also hearing the horror stories on those groups. And the reason they're horror stories is because they're not typical, right? So somebody maybe had a terrible experience, but most people aren't posting because it was fine. Mm-hmm. Or, the information is outdated and things. So, try to verify information with a few different sources. If you hear a horror story, try to get a complete picture. Or speak to experts, I think is always helpful to get accurate information. Krishan, can I ask you, why did you decide to work with us, and in what ways do you think it made your process go more smoothly?
Ooh, great question. I chose you all because I had seen, I think, an interview, and what struck me was Anna's project management expertise, because I was like, that's what I need. Like, that's what it clicked in terms of, oh, I need somebody to project manage this, right? That was really what tipped me over, in addition to having that first introductory call and feeling that it was a good fit. And it made the whole process beneficial because, what I overlooked in my earlier comment about all the balls I had in the air was that I also had Bailey, my dog. And, I had never flown with her. I had never taken her outside of the country, and even navigating that. What's the process for her? Finding a vet to do all those things that needed to be done. What did I need to do in terms of documentation to allow her to come into the country? I think where you guys really shine is not only the project management, but really the grounding. We had those check-ins. I felt like I had a North Star. Okay, there might be chaos in this bucket of my life, in this bucket, but, my move is still moving along. I wouldn't say I didn't have feelings of overwhelm, but I don't think it was at the magnitude it could have been. Here's a story to add in real time. So I was away this weekend and we had a Blaxit Global event with the Sadao Life doing a wine tasting in Portugal. And one of my friends, who's also been a guest on the podcast, was here watching Bailey while I was away and got locked out of my apartment. And I was 2.5 hours away. I didn't know this until I got back. And one of my neighbors who is here, everyone in my building speaks Portuguese. She didn't know what to do. And she was trying to explain to her that she was watching the dog. She had Bailey with her. And so long story short, they were able to get into the apartment. They had to call a locksmith, and my neighbor, found a locksmith. They opened the door, they let her in. And my friend kept going on and on about like, she was so nice. And it wasn't like, in the States, they would have never let me in. I didn't have anything to prove who I was. And so in order to thank her, she went and bought her a bottle of wine and a box of chocolates. And so she was coming to thank her. It was now back home, but she just said, "Oh, it's no big deal. It was just the right thing to do."
That's so
That-
nice.
That's an
Yeah.
example in real time of the hospitality that can be extended to you when you get to the other side. It doesn't have to be the big scary thing. It can be something more wonderful than you've ever imagined.
We absolutely feel that way. The community spirit is real, especially outside in the US, we didn't really know our neighbors. Here, the neighbors had this big hedge, and we moved in and we were like, hey, would you mind if we move these branches? And the next day, the guy just cut down the whole hedge so we could see.
Came with his nephew, did like 2 hours of manual labor.
And he was like, hey, you should plant this, you should plant this, put this over there.
Just to improve our view.
Yeah.
How kind is that?
And that's just one of a million things that people have done that make us feel part of the community.
In terms of like having a child here, we can walk her over to the neighbor's house anytime and be like, hey, would you mind watching my baby for 20 minutes while I do something?
I feel completely safe about it.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that. It's just those unexpected moments that just, in my mind, reinforce my belief in humanity.
Totally.
And that there are good people still out in this world, and you just kind of lean into that. And I think that's one of the things that's been the most beautiful aspect of this chapter in my life too.
It is. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Also, seeing past these differences, even when we don't speak the same language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like we figure it out, right? Even though if you don't speak the language, right? She doesn't speak a lot of English. I'm still learning Portuguese. Like in your case, Spanish. But, I think going back to what we said before about kindness and humanity, I think kind of goes above all of that. And you can still bridge bigger divides, even if you lean with kindness and care.
Absolutely.
So eloquently said.
Oh, thank you. I try. Zach and Anna, we're going to have the link for people and the show notes to this episode. So where can people find you?
We offer free 15-minute consultations. So if somebody just wants to understand their options and talk through things, check us out on our website, www.startabroad.com. You can also email us at info@startabroad.com, all one word. And yeah, we'd love to
connect and see how we might be able to assist you with your international relocation journey.
Awesome. Well, like I said, am always singing your praises. So I'm so thrilled that we had this opportunity and you accepted my invitation to come on and catch up. I'm delighted to hear about all the wonderful updates for you and your family. And I know we'll stay connected, and I'm so glad we found each other along this journey.
Us too. Thank you so much for inviting us. It's been a real pleasure catching up. I'm glad to hear that you're loving life. There's nothing that makes this work more worthwhile for us than hearing stories like yours. So thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Blaxit Global podcast. For more information on today's episode, be sure to visit our website at blaxitglobal.com. It's not only possible to live out your dreams unbothered and in full color, it is your birthright. This episode of the Blaxit Global podcast is sponsored by Blaxit Global Passport. At some point, the question stops being, can I move abroad? And becomes, what's possible for my life? Passport is where Black women from around the world come together to explore new possibilities, navigate life abroad, and create lives that feel bigger than the ones they were told to settle for. Because the goal was never just to move. The goal is to expand what feels possible. Visit blaxitglobal.com and click community to begin your next chapter.